last thing we need to do is solve by factoring. So step 1 says make sure everything equals 0 to start with, which it already does. Nothing has to be moved. Step 2 says to identify the product and the sum. So we're going to pretend this equals 0, doesn't matter. And product is found by multiplying the first number times the last number. So 2 times -6 makes -12. The sum is the middle number. And there isn't a number in front of x, which means there's an invisible 1 right here. And that is a positive 1. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this product right here, pretend that it's positive for a second, and I'm going to find all the numbers that multiply together to make 12. So I know 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. The next number I would try would be 4. So 4 and 3 is also a pair, but I've already used that pair, so I don't need to keep going. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to check my rules. I have a negative product and a positive sum, which means it's this rule right here, which says the bigger number is positive, smaller number is negative. So if I come over here to my pairs, the bigger number is positive, the smaller number is negative. Smaller number negative, smaller number negative. And I'm going to look through this list and I'm going to think, if I add these together, which pair will give me positive 1? -1 plus 12 is not 1. -2 plus 6 is not 1. -3 plus 4 is 1. So these two numbers are the ones I'm going to use. I'm going to draw a box. This first term from the original problem goes in the top box. This last term from the original problem goes in the last box. And in these two boxes, I'm going to choose these two numbers with x's. Doesn't matter which order you put them in. So -3x and positive 4x. You don't have to write the plus sign, but sometimes it helps. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out greatest common factors. I'm going to ask myself, what are these both divisible by? So if I pull out this way, between 2 and 3, well, they're not both divisible by any of the same things except a 1. You can write the 1 or you can leave it out. And it's going to be a positive 1 because the number closest to where I'm pulling out is positive. I'm going to look, they do both have an x, so I'm going to pull out an x. So you could say x or you could say positive 1x. Either one works. The next guy is going to be here. So between positive 4 and 6, what are they both divisible by? Well, they're both divisible by 2. It's going to be a positive because the number closest is positive. You don't have to write the plus sign, but sometimes it helps. They do not both have an x, so I'm not going to pull out an x with that. If I go vertically now, 2 and 4, what are they both divisible by? Well, they're both divisible by 2. Positive 2 because the guy closest is positive. They do both have an x, so I'm going to pull out an x as well. If I look here, 3 and 6, what are they both divisible by? Well, they're both divisible by 3. It's going to be a -3 because the guy closest is negative. They do not both have an x, so I'm not going to be able to pull out an x. So my parentheses for my answer is going to be x plus 2, reading down this side right here, and 2x minus 3. And if all it said to do was factor, we would be done right here. But it didn't. It said solve. And solving says set these parentheses equal to 0. So what I like to do is I like to draw a line down the center because it helps me remember that there are two separate problems here. On the left-hand side, I've got x plus 2 equals 0. The opposite of plus 2 is minus 2. So I get 0 minus 2, which is -2, equals x. And x is by itself, so we are done solving on that side. On this side, 2x minus 3 equals 0. The opposite of minus 3 is plus 3. So I'm going to get 2x equals 3. X is not by itself yet. It still has that 2 in front. In order to get rid of that 2, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Now, you're certainly welcome to say this is 1.5, but I like to leave it as a fraction. But if you put it into a calculator and got 1.5, that would not be incorrect. So here are my two answers solved by factoring.